Welcome back to episode 3 of Grail Talk. Today we've got Baz and Brendo back for this chat. No special guest this week, just the boys. How are we all doing, lads?
Yeah,
Good,
very
bro.
good. Yeah, very good.
A lot's happened in the last week on my end. By the time you're seeing this on SEBZVAULT.com, the blog interview with Ray's Locker will be live, so be sure to check that out. That's going to be huge. Big interview. Shout out to Ray for coming through, and it's an interesting read, so definitely check that out. Baz, anything happen for you this week?
Not really, bro. I just won the Air Max 1 patter, which I'm pretty stoked with. Keen to get them in hand. That's about it.
That's fresh. A fresh pair. Won a competition. Brendo, what's going on with you, G?
Not much at all. Just sold 2 pairs of shock turbos today. Buying shoes, selling shoes. Pretty grouse, bro.
Yeah, just same shit, different week.
Yeah, spot on.
All right, so we're going to start this off with a bit of something special, something new. We're going to talk about the Grail of the week. So what we think has been the best Grail of the week that we've seen from other resellers, other pages and whatnot. So, Brendo, who do you think had the best Grail this week?
Definitely Tune Life. Yeah,
Tune Life. What did
Tune
you drop?
Life. So Jack Morrison on Facebook. He put up a post of rasters and hammerheads. I prefer hammerheads over rasters. 2008 hammerheads look fully wearable. No
crumble.
No crumble, nothing. Bit of foggy bubbles, but other than that, bro, it looks sweet.
Yeah, that's mad. I didn't see that, but I do definitely love the hammerheads. I love those. Baz, what about you? What's been the best you've seen so far?
Coot Sloot dropped a pretty sick pair of US 10 poisons, which looked real clean. And I considered myself, but realised I don't need any more shoes for Persos. But I was looking at them, and then those Air Max 1 patterns I won in that supply store raffle, which I was pretty stoked with. Keen to get them in hand and have a suss. They look pretty mint.
Yeah, they look fresh. I saw those poisons as well. Obviously, poisons, they've become an absolute classic, so it's always epic to see them. For me, I would give a big shout out to Creps on Deck for dropping a dead stock Woman's 11 pair of Kayano 18 ices. That just blew my fucking mind. That shit, that's so rare, so crazy to see that size, that condition. So huge shouts to Creps on Deck for that one.
He's crazy at finding some dead stock pairs. Just pulls them out his ass, bro. I don't know how he does it, eh?
Whenever I want a set, he just pulls them. And everyone knows Creps on Deck. If you're listening to this, you best know that I'm first in line for those Woman 11 Clearwater Kin Size 6. I'm first in line every day of the week. Let's kick this shit off. So I wanted to start this off with a question to you lads. Looking at the difference between ASICS and Nike, one thing I noticed is that Nike hasn't really had any pairs where because every pair gets its own nickname, but none of them have had any sort of nickname related to someone of fame or like a rapper of any kind. But in the ASICS world, obviously the Kin Size 6 electric blues have been nicknamed Spanian blues. So what do you think sort of separates that pair being nicknamed after an actual person, and why that sort of stuff hasn't happened in Nike?
Oh, great question.
I don't know, really. I think that when Spanian made that live stream, that Instagram live of all his like his shoe collection and whatnot, kind of just popped off from there, really, I reckon. And especially that iconic video to come down the lane, that was a massive
It's
part
definitely an iconic video. But
it blew up.
I don't know, because obviously that came from that video, but there are definitely a lot of other icons that collect Nike, especially I know Kid Curvey's got a pretty crazy collection himself, but I don't really understand, like, is it just the one incident that made that become a nickname thing, or is it got something to do with like around the ASICS community compared to the Nike community? That's what I'm trying to grasp.
I think that
Yeah.
I think that because the Spaniard kind of always been wearing Asics and whatnot, and I think he would have been on that Asics wave before a lot of other people. So and people get that. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I'd probably say I don't know. It's weird.
It's
Definitely he would definitely be a pretty big influence of the Asics scene.
there's been like a couple photos like going around of like, you know, old dads and, you know, old grandpas wearing tailwinds and tans as a basketball wearing hyper blues back in the day playing basketball sort of thing, but nothing is really blown up in, I'd say, the TN scenes side of things of people getting like blowing up like as Spaniard with the Spaniard blues. But no, I don't think there's really any pair of TNs out there that have really had a name after them, after a famous person or someone like Spaniard or an Aussie rapper or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. And on what you're saying, Baz, I think Spaniard really has led the path for the bridge between ASICS being a new, fresh sort of shoe that people look at as not just a runner. And yeah, I think because he led the pathway to it, that's why he sort of grew a name. And obviously the incident where he slapped that fella up the lane, he grew a name for in the ASICS scene, and I just don't think there's ever really been that with like the Nike Air Max Plus, the TNs, because they've just always been around. ASICS are quite new to this whole sneakerhead community. It's been a bit of a new addition in the last couple of years, whereas Nike's been around for, I don't know, decades, I reckon. I don't know.
Yeah, 100% for sure.
Mind me though, there has been a couple photos of like, I've seen a photo of the baby, and it's quite bizarre. There's a photo of the baby rocking Paratinas. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. There's another famous person. What's his name?
Heaps. Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, he was an ASAP Mob. I can't think of his.
Ferg?
Yeah, Ferg wearing them cyber greens.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Like,
that one.
Yeah, just there's been a lot. There's been a lot of fame, and Drake having some unreleased pairs that, you know, had the weird on the mudguard, have like these ropes going around it sort of thing, like real weird shit. But I don't know, there's nothing really in the TN side that is really blown up like Spaniard, like the Spaniard blues. Nothing really.
Yeah, I definitely believe it is like based down to the incident with the slap, and like it's kind of fitting to the caliber of people who would want to wear those types of shoes, because there was like photos of J-Lo rocking like yellow light show Kano 20s, but obviously that's not really any comparison to Spaniard, whereas he would be seen as an actual figure amongst like the people that wear those types of shoes.
Culture sort of thing.
Culture, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, he's definitely a part of the exact same culture as the people who cop him.
Yeah. I like that question though. That was a great question.
Yeah, it's just interesting, like when you try and dissect that sort of stuff, because I was just thinking about it because I actually got a pair of Spaniard blues the other day, and I was just sitting thinking about it, like, is there any other sort of pairs that even have a nickname like that? So it was, yeah, good to kind of grasp that there's a reason for it and everything. Another thing I wanted to talk to you boys about is, obviously we got this podcast going. This is the 3rd episode, and we're called Grail Talk. We like to talk grails, but I want to know from your guys' perspective, what makes a grail a Grail? Like, what gives a pair of shoes the Grail status? Because I feel like it is a word that gets thrown around a little bit, but yeah, I want to hear what you guys grasp as a Grail.
A lot of people have their own sort of grail. Like, everyone's got their own grails they like just because of they like the colorway or they like the model or whatever they want, whatever they like about the shoe. But I think of it like how limited the shoe is. Like, how if you look at like the K20 light shows, like, real limited pair. Not many people have them, and that therefore a lot of people like it for that reason. So I don't know. It's just like how you want to think about it, really. Like, I know we've all three of us here will have our own type of Grail that maybe other people don't like, but we like just because of how limited it is, or, you know, it's just like, it's however you really see it. That's how I think of it, at least.
I 100% agree. I think that the word Grail is definitely from the owner's perception of what they think a Grail is, because, you know, someone may think that a pair of, I don't know, Kayano 23 Snow Whites is a Grail, and then another person might think a pair of Kayano 25 Illusion Blues is a Grail. Like, there's a big difference between them, but there's also a big difference between the people that, you know, like that shoe. I would also say that what Baz is saying is it definitely comes down to the limited type of stuff. So I would say, like, for me, my Kinsey 6 bubble gums, they are a Grail. They're limited, and they're probably like my favourite pair that I've got. And then the Kinsey 6 samples, they are an ultimate Grail because they're a sample pair. You know, you don't come across samples like that. So there are definitely levels to it, but it is based on perception for sure.
Yeah, grails. What I think what grail means to me is a pair that of a good how should I word this? I'm trying to word it right so I don't get it. I don't put it out as I'm saying something that I'm not trying to say. It's weird, but definitely the X-ray pack. The X-ray pack, the European like the...
Is that the orange and the blue?
Yep.
Yes, they're actually really close. I rate them.
See, like, people talk about grails like Shock Turbos. Some people like them as grails, ASIC Quantum CMZ grails or K20 grails or TN grails. But in my opinion, grails are pairs that were put into a store and were left on the shelves, gained dust, and the X-ray pack, I'm pretty sure they're European exclusives, and apparently so back in the day they sat on that shelf in Foot Locker and gained dust. And then now you try to find them. You try to find them now, and they're almost impossible to find because no one bought them back in the day, and that is a top-notch grail. Top-notch grail. That's, in my opinion, what a grail is.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like Baz said, Fireberries as well, just all those older colorways, because the scene wasn't as big as it is. But I want to ask, do you think now, with how big both sides of the scenes are and everyone buying out the new releases, both with ASICS and TNs, do you think that it kind of eliminates any sort of a future grail? Because like Brendo said, a grail is something that sits around and then it's so limited because it didn't sell well. But like with the new, like the Huddle Yellows, I wouldn't consider them a grail because they just flew. I wouldn't consider any of the new release TNs as grails. What do you guys think?
Yeah, 100% with that. I reckon because people stock up on 5-6 pairs of one shoe now. Like knowing that in 2 to 3 years' time, there's going to be knowing in 2 to 3 years' time that people are going to buy them. You know, I've got pairs of women's 11 to 12 tailwinds dead stock, and I know for a fact in 2 to 3 years' time, some of them will be like $500 to $700 sort of thing, because they're so hard to find. And same as any other new release, like you buy like a very bright 3M shoe of ASICS or TNs, in 3 to 5 years' time, they're going to double in price or triple in price. It's always going to happen. I saw it with the killer whales, I saw it with the Tiffany's, saw it with the ATLs, I saw it with the pink roses. Say that again, bro.
The ghost greens.
Yeah, the ghost greens, man. I have a receipt in my room somewhere of the retail from Ross, the OG receipt, and they're going for 80 USD, bro. 80 USD at Ross.
Now
and
it's 800 AUD.
Yeah. See, like they were going for 80 USD, man, and people selling them for a K. And I've seen photos of people who have 30 plus pairs of them, knowing that they're gonna sell for $500 to $800 because they're an unreleased pair. But for what you were saying, 100%, it's not gonna be like how it was 5 to 10 years ago. Nothing like that. The market is changing dramatically in the next 5 to 10 years into the future. It's changing a lot. In my opinion, I'm not a huge fan of it, but there's nothing one person can do about it. When you got a whole 20k community of the ASICS AUNZ group sort of thing, or blah blah blah.
That's what I reckon as well. And because of what you're saying, like these new releases aren't going to really turn into grails because of how popular they've become and how like everyone's aware of it, so they're easily accessible. It's sort of it kind of puts the word grail at a standstill. Whereas what we perceive as grails now, in 5 years' time, they're still going to be the exact same grails, just 50 times harder to find, and people are going to be thinking that, the huddle yellows and all that stuff that's come out in the last year or a year and a bit, they're going to become grails in the future, but not necessarily. They may not necessarily be seen as a grail amongst the community because of how inflated these communities have become. So I definitely agree with that. What are your thoughts, Baz?
Yeah, I agree as well, for sure. It's just it all just depends on, like, a lot of the time we've seen a lot of pairs that have been so hyped up and then they just drop off. I wouldn't say the huddles, because the huddles are still going for heaps, but there's been a lot of pairs with like the TNs that get so hyped up, like the new lavas and whatnot. They get so hyped up and then a couple of weeks pass after the drop and people just don't really care. They don't want them anymore or whatever.
There's a difference in the price points. Because, like, I know what you mean. I remember seeing it with the dark Tiffany's. They were going for around 500 and whatnot. Now they've slowly dropped back to that 350 mark. And same with huddles. At the peak of it, people were getting them for $1,000 over, and now they've dropped back to like 700. 700 is still a lot, but more of a reasonable type of price for a quantum color mix that only recently just got released.
And I think as well, when it comes to price range, a lot of pairs will get hyped up because they know they can get them for retail and hope they can get them for retail. If they're sitting on Foot Locker, whatever at time a lot of the pairs drop, they'll get hyped up because they can hopefully get them for retail. And then once resellers get them in and they're trying to flip them, then you lose interest because you don't want to pay any more than retail on that pair because you missed out or whatnot.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And with that, I wanted to speak. Oh, you go, Brendo.
Yeah, I was just going to point out, like, happens over in America, what Baz was saying, sort of thing. Kenny Busick, so American ex-air, he lives over in America. Cheers for the proxies, by the way. Good fella, love Kenny. Because he's over in America, he goes to the outlets, he goes to the ASICS store, and he can buy 15, 20 pairs because it's not like what it is over here, sort of thing. Like if you were to go over, let's just say, what is it called? It's a DFO up in Melbourne. I forgot what it's called. You get
Essendon?
limited. Say that again, bro.
Like Essendon DFO?
Yeah, like Essendon DFO, or all them type of DFO where you got ASICS, Tommy Hilfiger, Nautica, blah blah. So when you go over there, you get a limit of how many shoes you can buy in one colorway, sort of thing. But where as Kenny, he could go over there and they'd be like, yeah, that's fine, sort of thing, you know, buying 10, 15 pairs. I forgot what pairs they were, but he was putting them up for a good price. But it's good to see the contrast, and it's good and bad to see the contrast from America to Australia and different prices. And you can definitely see how Australia's adapted, and you can definitely see how there's a lot of resellers in Australia. But you got to think very much so outside the box, as Kenny has done. It's good to see. Bit off topic, but I thought I'd put it out there.
Yeah, for sure. As well as with
on topic.
As well with the America side of it, like over there, they'd be looking to a lot of stores. Say Kenny, for instance, he'll go over there, like you said, buy like 15 pairs. They want to clear their stock because a lot of the time that stock sits, and obviously with the market over there, their stock will sit, so they'll be more than happy to flog off a ton of pairs. But then when it comes to over here, they, like Foot Locker and whatnot, know obviously there's people that just resell their shoes, and that's why there's only a limited batch that people can buy. So they want to give more out to the community. But then in America, they'll flog off the pairs for whatever. Like, they don't care if you buy like 30 pairs, because they just want to clear their stock, get more stock for future.
So true. Yeah, it's crazy over there with like with their like DFOs and their Nike discounted stores and stuff like that. It's crazy, you know. You get like Ross, for example, with the Ghost Greens. You know, you're getting $70 pair of TNs. Like, why not? Why not? Like, you rather buying a pair and wearing them over in America, sort of thing. Like, and you know, buying like, you know, 30 of the bloody pairs if you're selling them for 500 AUD each. You know, that's a lot of bloody money. But yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy how over in America they just don't care. And you can just buy. You can buy as many pairs as you want, and they won't have a question or thought about it. It's really interesting. I'd love to live over in America. And samples. A lot of sample pairs get put to the outlets. It's really weird over in America. I know a couple people over in America that have samples and that, and they get them in large, like extra large shipping boxes. And they just tip them all over the floor, and they don't really care because they don't see a market in them. And they just go, oh yeah, I bought these at the outlet today. Bang, you know, dead stock pair of men's 9 Tailwind samples. You know, crazy shit. We're going for hundreds of dollars in our market, or the TN market. But over there, it's just like, oh, I don't like them, you know. And then they sit on the shelves, even though they're a sample pair. It's really crazy, really crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's so it's interesting, like you're saying, because I remember when I went to DFO around the time, I remember there was a limit on how many Quantum 360 Color Mix, Emerald, Metropoles, Huddle Yellows, Blueberries. There was a limit on how many you could get. You could only buy 2 at a time, 2 per customer. And like, I know what you're saying, you know, you can flood it and get as much as you want in America, but I wonder if in America they have a sort of a market where you can't do that, because obviously ASICS and Nike TNs aren't big there, but is there something big there that they can't? Like, there's a limit
Air
for them
Forces.
for a different type of shoe.
Air Forces, I'm pretty sure.
Jordan.
There's a huge market on Air Forces. I'm pretty sure I've seen this World Star post, and it's guy has like 100 or 200 or 300 pairs of just white and black Air Forces, just clearing out all the stock of Air Forces sort of thing.
People love their Forces as well, with Jordans as well. Jordans are just massive.
Yeah, it's same as Dunks.
Dunks as well.
Yeah, you tell me about Dunks, Baz, over here in Australia, how 5 years ago they were sitting on the shelf like it was no tomorrow sort of thing. It was just
like all the local skate shops and stuff. Like, I would walk in a local shop near me, in Fast Times and stuff, and you'd look in the store, and there was just Dunks, so many Dunks, and people didn't want them. And then now you look at it, like, it's just crazy. Everyone wants Dunks.
And then you'd see over there how, like, there'd be like a 3-day queue. You'd sit out there 3 days before the pair even dropped.
They got their tents.
Yeah, they got their
sleep
tents, bro.
bags.
They got their little mugs that keep your hands warm,
Little
bro. Like got
thermos.
everything. It's crazy, like they line up for bloody anything over there in America. It's crazy. It truly is. Because it's just I don't know. America is a very funky place. It's a place where everything's wild. Everywhere you go is just bloody wild. Unless you go to country America, then you run into bloody rednecks, and that's even fucking more wild. But it's not really shoe related, but it's fucking crazy over there. I'd love to go over there one day, but it's fucking crazy.
I actually went to America a few years ago, I think 3 years ago, and I went to some of the outlets, and I went to the ASICS outlets, and I actually, I bought some pairs because like I was collecting still back then, but like I still remember it, and I have like recollections of what was there and what it would be worth now and what I could have bought it for. It's just crazy.
Yeah. It's like that, though, and it's an instant regret. It is, isn't it? Like, you go, fuck, I wish I had the money for that pair. Like, fuck, I wish I bought 5 of them and I could have sold them for 800 each or 400 each, bro, and you would have made heap of money, even after shipping sort of thing. It's like, fuck, it's an instant regret.
Yeah, it's just, I wish I knew about it back then. But, you live and you learn. One day we'll get the time machines. We'll head back into 2013 and have a little browse.
Nah, bro. We'll head back to 1999 and start from there, bro. Where Tans first dropped, and then we'll wait until ASICS hit, and then fucking skadoosh, mate. We'll fucking be millionaires.
We'll go 3-way into a big freezer. Keep all the grails on ice, no crumbling, nothing. Just keep them nice and fresh. A big meat locker.
Talking about before what I was saying, I just saw on Polly Cells of how Nike put out some releases into their outlets and Nike stores about the new full, what are they called, bro? Liquid metals. Did anyone see a couple of liquid metals floating around or anything like that?
Yeah,
I
remember seeing those, like the new liquid metals.
Yeah, they had a funky ass shape to them. They look so whack, so whack. But they'll put out into a couple of stores in America. I'm not too sure what stores they'll put out in, but they'll put out into a couple. So it's interesting because you don't know, because they got put into like US 13, US 12. I reckon there would have been extremely limited pairs though. Very lucky to own a new set of liquid metals.
Yeah, 100%. That's true. We could go on for fucking hours about this, no lie. But I wanted to wrap this up because it's nearly, is it 30 minutes? I don't know. But I wanted to wrap it up with one last sort of discussion point that I think it's just come out of nowhere and it needs to be talked about. What are we all thinking about the new sort of wave of ASICS hats? Everyone's reselling the ASICS hats, the new ASICS hats, not the old OG ones, the new ASICS hats. Like, what are we thinking of it?
Alrighty. What type we're talking? We're talking about the big logo ASICS on the side. We're talking about like the little 3M strip.
The little 3M strip, like the new release that came out this year, they're already being sold for $80 resale when you can buy them for $30 at the store.
Right.
Yeah, so like me personally, I think that the scene has completely jumped the gun on these. And, I could understand if they stocked up and they waited for them to be discontinued, but I just think they've jumped the gun really hard. And for anyone watching this, please, you got to support, your local page and whatever, but just be mindful that you can grab these for $30.
Spot on, and
sure.
And when
I remember when I went, oh, sorry, you go, Brendo.
Sorry,
I'm going to say the same thing anyway.
Before Melbourne went into lockdown, I went into my local Foot Locker and I went up to the assistant manager and I was like, I bet you $5 these will sell for $80 to $100 the next year. So I'm going to ask her for my $5, but 100% jump the gun on it. when they get discontinued and when they get hard to find, it's fine. It's fine to put up the money. It's fine to put up an extra $20, $30, $40 to find it because it's hard to find, and that's how it works. But definitely, Seb, they've jumped the gun. There's some nice colorways. I like that aqua colorway or the mint green, the mint
greeny one. I like it too.
Yeah, I don't mind them. They don't fit bad on my head at all, and I've got a very buff head on me. But yeah, it's not bad. They're not a bad hat, but definitely jumped the gun. They're definitely pushing it. Oh, that's a good one. They're definitely pushing it on the limits of, like trying to sell it for a lot than it's actually worth. When you even said that it's still in Foot Locker, sitting on the shelves.
Yeah, it's really bad. I've never really been a big hat fan. Like I did sell a few like OG Asics hats, like before the 3Ms, like the really OG ones. But I've got a few of the 3M ones that were before this new release, and I've been selling them for like $65. People have been selling them for $100, which I understand, but the markup on hats I think has become a bit out of control, and especially with this new wave of Asics hats, everyone's already reselling them whilst they're still in store. I just don't really understand it. Like with the GT 1010s, people were buying the top, like the woman's 12, woman's 11, the hardest sizes to find, and they would hold them until they're gone, then sell them. That's appropriate and it's understandable. But yeah, people have really just jumped the gun on these, and the thing is, it's kind of stupid because everyone knows how much you're getting them for. Everyone knows how much you're making off of it. So I just don't really understand it, to be honest.
Yeah. Even to go on with the hat reselling, there's been a crazy even the side of like TN hats and Air Max hats.
I did see the TN hats with like the plastic strap at the back where you put like the little dots. They were going for extreme amounts as well.
Yep, and the OG TN hats where it has like the fade on it and all that jazz. I seen someone selling one for $300, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck yeah, bro, I bought mine for pretty cheap then, like I paid top dollar for mine. I paid good condition for mine, for a couple of mine, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, fuck yeah, I paid a really good price for mine. But I don't know, it's going a bit lopsided to where like people are just money hungry. They're not doing it for the shoes. They're not doing it because they own vintage clothing, or they're not doing it for the scene. They're just like, yeah, I know I can get $500, so I know I'm gonna sell it for $500 when they really should be selling it for $300 or $250 to make the price fair, sort of thing. Make it fair in the community. Make it fair for people who aren't earning $80K a year, who sort of thing, or people who have it less fortunate than other people. That's how I see it, sort of thing with reselling.
I went to I think it was either the South Bank DFO or maybe it was the Essendon one. I'm pretty sure it was the South Bank DFO where the ASIC store is, and I went in there, and this was like, I think it was a little bit after everyone kind of started jumping on those white, the green and blue and the pink ASICS hats, and I went in there obviously just to have a look, see if there's any nice pairs for sale or whatnot, and I was seeing like people that just didn't even look like resellers, or I know this is kind of like, you can't really judge someone by what they're wearing, but it was people that just didn't look like they wore that type of stuff, and they were just snagging these ASICS hats. Like, I saw a kid, and he had like 10 of the white hats in his hand. He was with his dad. And I was just thinking, like, fuck, like, you don't even look like the type of person that would be selling these. But, it ended up probably seeing some Instagram page, ASICS Hat Seller 1 or something.
Yeah.
Selling all these hats.
Dude, that's the thing. Like, I know what you're trying to say. Like, he doesn't look like the normal type of sneakerhead that we see in the community. Like, a lot of the lads that big in the community and that push the vintage stuff, we all dress the same. We all look similar. And I know what you mean. You just see any random old Joe walking around, going in and buying like 10 of these hats because they know that they can sell it for these. They just make a brand new Instagram, like you said, ASIC Hat 1, and they just sell them off. And then once they're gone, they take the money and they close down their page.
For a quick buck, pretty much.
It's like it's I think it was when the black green grey aero bills, when they first came out, the white aero bills, the white black aero bills were in Rebel Sport going for $30. So I got a pair of the black one and the white one, and I bought them brand new dead stock. And then I think a month or two later, I went to it was past the city in Melbourne. There was an outlet store at Nike, and they just had, I reckon, they had about 60 to 70 of the black and green aero bills for $10
Wow.
each. And I'm sitting there and I'm like,
what?
Fuck.
That's crazy.
Fuck. Yeah,
Even like Rebel Sport and shit, they used to sell the aero bills like $20.
Yeah, they were crazy for them because they're meant for runners, They're not meant for they're not meant for bublés running around doing red hot shit sort of thing. But I don't know, I don't like aerobill fits. They're a different breed of fitting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they do fit pretty funny.
Yeah, they're a bit Funko hat.
When the ASICS hat, like the first OG 3M ones came out, they were actually labeled as like ASICS unisex tennis cap. Like they're not like you're saying, they're not for the lads, but it's all about the culture, it's all about the community and how we perceive it and like to dress. But yeah, definitely think everyone sort of jumped the gun. So if you're listening to this and you sell the new ASICS hats, no disrespect to you, but it's got a bit of a ripple effect on the community, and yeah, maybe just wait.
Yeah, you'll be able to you'll have a better rep at the end of the day. Like if you're holding on to a pair of ASICS hats that you bought for $30 and you're trying to sell them 3 months later for $80, if you hold on to them for another 2 years, bro, you can make $150 and have a better rep, sort of thing.
People just don't have the patience, Brendo. They don't have the patience.
You gotta in this game that we're in. You gotta have patience. You gotta have patience. Patience is the key, and not a lot of people understand that. Not a lot of people understand that at all.
These shoes and these hats and all this vintage stuff that we all own and we all stock up on, because of how big the community keeps on growing, this shit is like turning into stocks. You hold on to it. And you wait it out and then you sell it for what it is actually worth. So yeah, definitely anyone new to the game, just be sure to show patience. And like Brendo's saying, you'll gain rep, you'll obviously make some coin, and you'll do more for the community than just selling for a quick buck.
100%. And don't sell straight away. Like if you're at a Foot Locker nearby, you live in Western Australia, who's not been in lockdown. I think they have been in lockdown a couple times, but who aren't currently in lockdown. Do $10 above retail. Sort of thing for a pair of Tinas or a pair of Air Max 90s or something. Don't try to sell them for $300 when you be a nice person about it. Be a genuine bloke about it. You're only bettering yourself. You're gonna make a worse reputation out of yourself if you're gonna sell for $350 when they're sitting in your shelf. Yeah, you're making good coin, but people are gonna look at you and be like, right, you're one of them typical resellers.
Yeah, people get labelled that real quick, and it's their own fault.
Yeah, it's and they don't understand it. They don't understand why their shit doesn't sell, or if you got Dunks and Jordans and you got all hype beast stuff in your account trying to sell Tinas, it's like, all right, I know what you're up to, buddy, sort of thing. But not trying to name anyone, but we definitely know that the raffle isn't going too well for you. Then you bot locker, but like it's not going too well for you. Not trying to name anyone or anything like that. Like I don't have any names in my head, but
we all know.
It's just build a reputation. Tracksuit Mafia. He's a fucking wonderful bloke. I talk to him I don't know, like once or twice, man. But every single time I talk to him, he's been like a nice bloke, same as Ray. I've never talked to him before, but he seems like a very nice bloke. And I've been following his account for ages and ages. When he had that can that said, I think it was Raymond. Was it Raymond or Ray's or
the
something?
Raymond Coke can next to the Tigers.
Yeah, yeah, that shit was nostalgic, bro. I was sitting there like last night. I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's a real, that's a real OG shit." I'm thinking about, real nostalgic shit. Just be nice, be a genuine bloke, but yeah, just build a good rep, and you only get higher up in the game if you keep on building a good rep and doing good deeds.
Yeah, definitely want to end on a good note like that. Just a message to everyone, build the rep, build the community, don't shoot us down, we're trying to make something out of it. And yeah, fucking definitely good message to take. Any last words before we wrap this one up, lads?
No, I'm chilling, bro. It's been a good another episode as usual.
Yeah,
always a good yarn. Time goes fucking quick, not gonna lie.
It does go very fast.
Anyone who's tuned in all the way, thank you so much for supporting us. Obviously, the first Sneakerhead Australian podcast. I hope you learned something. I had a few people messaging saying that they've enjoyed listening in and learning. So that's always really fucking. It's a good feeling. So
yeah, for sure.
We appreciate it all. When you're listening to this, you'll be able to go over to www.SEBZVAULT.com and read the interview that I had with Raymond Ray from Ray's Locker. So that is an absolute cracking interview, one of the scene's biggest and by far one of my biggest role models, and someone you should always base yourself off for sure. So check that out. Thank you to Baz. Thank you to Brendo for sticking it the whole time as usual, boys.
That's all right. Cheers for having me.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap it up here, but thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back next week for sure. Cheers, everyone.